All right, it's time for the Houston High School Huddle. My main man from the Dave Campbell's Texas High School Football, Matt Stepp, is there. Wizards here. We've made it to the regional finals. Let's just start off with any kind of surprises of teams that you see in the regional finals out of the Houston area. I'm kind of surprised with both 5A Division I teams because I thought it would end for them in round 3, but they're still going, 2 of them. So we're going to have one in round 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest surprise. I think Angleton and LaPorte were both underdogs last week. Angleton wins a thriller against College Station. Missed PAT, the difference in that game. LaPorte, man, that was impressive what they did to a really good A&M consolidated team. Total domination in the second half. I watched the second half of this online actually last night, and I knew LaPorte brought a big crowd and had a lively crowd. Holy cow, that was the most amped up crowd I've seen at a game this year, at least online, and I'm excited. I think they're going to have a big crowd at NRG Stadium on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think Angleton's going to bring a big crowd, so it should be a lot of fun Saturday afternoon there at NRG. I think those are the two big surprises. Obviously, Kingwood being here in the fourth round is a surprise, but I think they've been favored the last 2 weeks. The bracket really broke great for them to get to this point. So I think those are probably the biggest surprises that are still remaining. I think everyone else, I think we kind of felt like
it could happen if it didn't.
Yeah. Shout out to Stafford. They gave Tyler Chapel Hill a really good game.
Yeah.
That was a 14-3 ball game in the fourth quarter. A block punt kind of changed the game there for Chapel Hill and opened it up a little bit. But a great effort by the Spartans. They pushed Chapel Hill pretty well in that game in a losing effort last week.
Yeah, and you talked about the big crowds from LaPorte. We've spoken on this the whole time. They're kind of used to it at this point. If they're going to catch their Bulldogs, they're all going to have to get on the road and travel because they haven't played at home yet this year. So
they haven't played a home game in 2 years. So
all they have to do is talk to each other and say, hey, where are we traveling this week? So how do you know we don't have a home game? Because we ain't got a home.
Yeah, NRG's not too far away from LaPorte,
Exactly.
So I bet a lot of those Bulldog fans will be in the house Saturday because they're excited. We'll talk about that game. I think they got a great shot to get it to win.
Yeah. All right. Let's bring them on up. Let's bring up our brackets here and talk about. We'll go through each one. We'll go through each classification because we're in the Elite 8 of each single classification in Division 6A Division 1. We expect this at the beginning of the year. There's some bumps in the road, close games, all that kind of stuff. But we got North Shore and Atascocita again. As our main game in Region 3. Bridgeland's going to give it a shot against Duncanville. Man, that's going to be a tall ask. I don't even know. I was asked this yesterday on our DFW podcast, so I'm going to flip it around and ask you, what has to happen for Bridgeland to be competitive? Because all I could think of was time of possession, and don't ever let Duncanville on the field. Get 3 yards on every single play. That's pretty much all I can see in that one.
So if you're a Bridgeland fan, what you look at is you look at the Woodlands game, and you say, "Hey, the Woodlands was down 8 in the fourth quarter." Woodlands. It was now. I didn't watch a lot of the game, so I don't have a lot of context in the game, but I do know it was 28-20 in the fourth quarter, and then Duncanville pulled away, scored 2 touchdowns, and I know DeCorian Moore had a huge game. Maybe Duncanville sleptwalked and didn't play very well, that kind of thing. But I also think the Woodlands is not a bad team. I think Bridgeland is a better version of the Woodlands. I think they're a little bit better than the Woodlands. So if you're a Bridgeland fan, you're like, hey, the Woodlands was in that game in the fourth quarter. If we play really, really well, our best game, Duncanville plays another subpar game, maybe we're in it in the fourth quarter and maybe we catch a break and we steal one. That's the way you gotta handle it if you're Bridgeland. That's what you gotta hope. Easier said than done. Duncanville's a big favorite, no question about it. No one's ever going to deny that. But I think if you're looking at what's the path to a Bridgeland win, we're as good, if not better than I think they're better than the Woodlands.
Okay,
personally.
but do you feel like their offense is better equipped to play Duncanville than the Woodlands offense was? Obviously because they're big up front, obviously. But do they have playmakers that, once the blocking is held for an extra 2-3 seconds, can they find those guys like the Woodlands did?
And maybe getting the big plays isn't the way to go against Duncanville. Maybe it's 4 or 5 yards at a pop and keep Duncanville's offense off the field.
And maybe tire the defense down if you can.
Yeah. So a lot has to go right for the Woodlands. Not denying that, but I think that's your path. But great. Bridgeland's in the fourth round for the first time in school history. So we'll see. What, I mean, at this point, 48 minutes, you see what happens. Maybe Duncanville's the big favorite, and rightfully so. But
it is true. Playing with house money, there's something to say for that. You don't.
Yeah.
Nobody expects nothing. I mean, we'll see that in Division II. We had 2 teams last week that were playing with house money, and one of them was going when it was Kingwood and Straight.
Yeah.
What about the North Shore Atascocita? We're talking about 9 in a row here for North Shore over Atascocita. They both played close, big wins, close wins. Atascocita had it that first time and let it slip away in the last couple of seconds. Mm-hmm. Man, you always tell me until it happens, you can't pick against it, and I'm probably going to be with you on that one as far as North Shore goes. But go ahead.
I actually picked Atascocita to win.
Okay, well, tell us what.
North Shore is incredibly. This is as good a North Shore team as I've seen since 2018. The one issue that I think I've had with North Shore is they're careless with the football sometimes. And that's what let Katy. North Shore had Katy on the ropes. Devin Sanchez had just got an interception. They were up 21-0. They had the ball basically in the red zone. They throw an interception. Katy runs it back to the 3. They score one play later. It's 21-7. Very next series, North Shore fumbles early in the drive. Katy gets the ball at the 20-yard line. 4 plays later, they score. All of a sudden, it's 21-14, and now the Katy crowd's into it. Now North Shore's in a little bit of a fight here. So that was a game North Shore could have easily pulled away. North Shore's got to play clean. If they don't play a clean game, Carday Mack and Torrey Blaylock will hurt them. So North Shore's got to play clean. If North Shore plays clean, if they play clean, they win the game. They're more talented. They've got, Quanell Farrakhan Jr., Dion DeBlanc, Chris Thomas, DeAndre Hardiman, Cam Smith, loaded on offense. They got playmakers all over the place. But do they take care of the football? That's the question. Right. And so I think
does he try too much? Is that the thing with Caleb Bailey? Does he try to make the spectacular play too much? I haven't seen a whole game live. Does he try to make the?
No, I think it was just there was poor decisions. I think he did get careless. I think on the fumble, I think he got careless with the football and kind of pulled it down and tried to run with it. I think North Shore's got to. Bailey's got to read it and get the ball out quick and not hang on. When he gets in trouble when he hangs on to the football. When he just lets it rip and plays, they're fine. But when he hangs on to the football, bad things happen. So that's kind of what Coach Gaston told me post-game was he needs to let the ball go. He's got to let it go and let it rip. And sometimes he hangs on to it, and then when he hangs on to it, then he tries to do too much. He makes a throw he shouldn't make, or he tries to, instead of just taking a sack and living to fight another day, he tries to make too much happen, that kind of thing. So I think North Shore takes care of the football, they win. If they don't, I think Atascocita wins.
And either way could happen.
I'm worried because North Shore just hasn't taken care of the football the past, a lot of times.
When you say that, all I can think about is that Crowley game. They threw 5 picks, and they still managed to win because they're just so much more talented. When you're not that much talented in Atascocita, so you're going to need to bring that down. And it just seems like Blaylock is getting better as the year goes on too. It's like he's not. It's almost like he's practicing in football for track season the way he's breaking out when it's usually the other way around.
Yeah. Now, if you're a Atascocita fan where you're worried is your defense, 2 of the last 3 weeks has given up 40-plus points.
That's true.
And you're going up against a North Shore offense that's a juggernaut. Now, you played great against North Shore in the first meeting. Your defense was locked down in the first meeting. Can you repeat that performance and not have the Fulsher or the Dickinson performance in 2 of the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, and the Summer Creek performance. You need to play 2 halves. Is basically what we're talking, and 2 solid halves at least. Talk quickly about the other 2 games in this: North Crowley and Allen, and Lake Travis and Westlake. If Westlake wins and Atascocita wins, exactly. Yeah. Atascocita's feeling, hey, we've already beaten Westlake. If they happen to get past the.
And I think if North Shore and Westlake play, it will probably be in the Houston area because they played in Round Rock last year, if memory serves. Or Pflugerville. Maybe it was Pflugerville. They were in the Austin area last year.
Yeah, they were.
So I think that game, it's basically a return game. It would be somewhere in the Houston area next week if it happens. So I think North Crowley-Allen rematch of last year's regional final. Coppell pushed North Crowley last week. North Crowley pulled it out. Allen, tough defense. Allen's just not explosive enough, I don't think. They just don't have enough dynamic playmakers on offense. I think North Crowley is loaded with playmakers. You got Quentin Gibson, who's a Mr. Texas football finalist, committed to Colorado. You got Cornelius Warren, the UNLV commit, Daniel Bray, the SMU commit in the backfield. You got a UNT commit at quarterback. You've got an offensive line with 5 D1 guys. Yeah. North Crowley's loaded offensively. I just think they got too much firepower for Allen.
Right.
In Region 4, Battle of the Lakes, Lake Travis, Westlake. Westlake took the regular season meeting 28-16. It's funny, Lake Travis and Westlake, they're known kind of as quarterback factories, and these two teams are very defensive-oriented this year. And it was evidenced in the first game, 28-16. I think we're going to see a very similar game. Westlake's had Lake Travis's number, and I don't see any reason why this week won't be any different. I think Westlake will get the best of them, but it'll be a close, 24-21 kind of ball game, in my opinion.
I got you. All right, Division II. Let's talk about our DFW, or excuse me, our Houston matchup in this one, which is Summer Creek and Kingwood. Man, I don't know. You're the genius here when it comes to Texas high school football. First of all, when was the last? Now we know this has probably happened a lot of times when one district has 4 teams go all the way. Heck, it happens with this district all the time. But when was the last time a district's had 2 teams playing in round 4 and they both have home games? They're playing each other and they're both home.
That's a good question. I don't know if that's ever happened.
We'll look it up right now.
I haven't heard of that. I mean, we've had some districts that have gotten all 4 teams to the region.
Mainly this district. 2 years ago with CUK.
You've had in the lower classifications some 4A teams do it and that kind of thing. What a season for Cale Melton and the Kingwood Mustangs. And I think they're going to be around. They're going to stick around for a while. I think they're not a team that's going to go. They're not going to be a one-hit wonder. They got some youth. They're going to be around. Summer Creek's just got too much. I was very impressed with Summer Creek Friday night when I watched them take apart Katie Jordan. They dismantled Katie Jordan 54-20. I think this Summer Creek team is better than last year. And
because they're not relying on just a hunt. They've got other options here.
Blake Thomas's growth at the quarterback position from last year to this year is incredible. He is a true leader of that offense, a dual threat. He can make the deep throws. And Summer Creek's got a lot of different guys who can hurt you. And their defense is better than last year. When you lose an LSU commit at linebacker, they've managed that. They've reloaded on defense. Summer Creek's defense is tremendous.
And they'll make the turnover too. There's some teams where you see a ball lying on the ground or one thrown into your chest and let it bounce off. Oh, well, you were in the right spot. Good work. No, if you let something happen, they'll make the turnover. Brandon Jones, Woodfork, all those guys.
They make plays, and Jordan scored 20 points, but one of them was a kickoff return for a touchdown. So really, Summer Creek only allowed 2 touchdowns in the win. So they're very strong. I like Summer Creek. Should be a great atmosphere at Turner Stadium on Saturday. Both fan bases are going to show out, but I like Summer Creek in this one. So I think we're going to get 2 humble ISD teams in the semifinals in Summer Creek and Atascocita. I know the Atascocita pick, a little bit of an upset pick, going out on a limb there, but I think playing the odds here. The North Shore's won 9 in a row. I don't know if it's just crazy because Atascocita is so good. It's hard for me to imagine anyone beating Atascocita 9 times in a row. Much less 10 times.
Exactly. And I can't do it yet. I did it the first time, and then I just have you in the back.
You're almost right. I mean,
I have you in the back of my head saying until it happens, it's not going to happen. So I was like, all right.
It worked out for me with A&M Consolidated and College Station this year, where College Station had beaten A&M Consolidated 7 times in a row. Had never beat them, and they finally beat them this year. So maybe it'll work out again. If you're a North Shore fan, you're hoping I'm wrong, though.
Yeah, exactly. Taking a look at the rest of this bracket, you got an injury-riddled Southlake team taking on Denton Guyer, at least injury in the backfield. And then you have DeSoto and Longview. Willis went up to DeSoto, and as they did last year, they played really good in the first quarter, and then all heck broke loose. Sometimes I think I don't know, Willis is talking a little bit too much before these games start. I would love to see him go into a DeSoto game and just do what they have to do.
Yeah.
Because you were telling me it was getting out of You was telling me I was getting out of control too, but go ahead.
Yeah, the referees were losing. The referees probably should have started throwing some flags. I think it was calculated on Willis's part. I think they were trying to get DeSoto off their game.
Yeah.
And I think also part of it was maybe I think Willis was trying to convince themselves that they could do it. And through some bravado and some things like that. And look, Willis played. I think that was a much better game this year than last year. Even though Willis made some mistakes in the first half that they got up 14-0, and then DeSoto scores 34 in a row. But Willis had an interception that was a bad interception that they were on the move. They were driving. They had gotten inside the DeSoto 40 and had a holding penalty and an interception. And then at the end of the first half, they're right there inside the 10, and they choose to kick a field goal. a couple of plays here and there, and that's a much different ball game. Because
Right.
then Willis made a great run in the third quarter. DeSoto was better, as I thought. Willis's defense, which was improved, was still just too small, and DeSoto's big offensive line just leaned on them, and those holes just got bigger and bigger as the game went along there. But also, I think DeSoto, that score, DeSoto scored with 20 seconds left in the game. Willis had already packed it in. They were done. DeSoto could have taken a knee and finished 48-35, but they added one on. Maybe that was because all the talking Willis did. I don't know. Maybe they added one on.
They have been. But if you took a look at their post afterwards, they certainly were listening to all of it.
I think DeSoto, you look at this game with DeSoto and Longview, and I know it's not Houston area, but Longview defeated a Houston area team last week in Klein Collins and beat them pretty soundly.
They did.
That's a score. The DeSoto Willis game, I think, is a score that was deceiving because I think it was a closer game than what it really was. I think Longview and Klein Collins was the other way. It was 42-7, 42-14. I mean, Boosie Washington had a monster game for Longview. Their sophomore quarterback played great. Longview, this was as good as Longview's played all year, in my opinion. They were operating at elite efficiency against Klein Collins. Now, they're going to be big underdogs against DeSoto. But Longview, their defense is equipped to stop the run. They're not super big. They're bigger than Willis, but they're not super big, but they are very fast. But the offense helps Longview. Willis's offense doesn't help their defense against DeSoto because they score so fast and they're so wide open and they don't run the ball at all. Longview's offense helps their defense because Longview is going to get in the I formation and they're going to go right at you. They're going to pound you. They're going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust it. So what that's going to do is if you're Longview, what you got to hope is that you hold the ball, keep the ball away from DeSoto, and run clock and keep your defense fresh against that massive offensive line that DeSoto has.
Yeah.
If Longview can do that and get Washington going and then hit the play action, they've got a shot to be competitive. I still think DeSoto is going to wear them out in the end because they're just too big and too physical. I mean, you got an offensive line that's 6'8", 380 going to Syracuse.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 running backs: Tiger Ryden, Sarad Baker, and Myson Cook Johnson, who was actually at Katy last year in the spring semester before moving to DeSoto. So they've just got too much weapons. But I think Longview has a better chance to keep it a competitive game just because of style of play.
Right.
Guyer Southlake, you mentioned Southlake being banged up. My biggest concern with Southlake right now is the defense. They don't have any injuries on defense. In the last 2 weeks, they've been touched up for 42 and 37 points.
Here's my opinion on that. And I think because of the running, they have to change their style on offense.
Yeah.
But they're scoring so quickly that the defense is back out there all the time.
That's
it's
fair.
kind of exposing some things on the defense that hadn't been exposed up until, the second week of the playoffs there when they got hurt.
It goes back to that style of play. We talked about Longview. Their offense protects their defense. Now Southlake's not really able to protect the defense because they've had so many injuries. Their top 2 running backs are out. If before the injuries, I would have taken Southlake was my pick to win the state championship this year. But I think this is a different Southlake team because of the injuries, and I think Geyer's going to get them. Geyer looked really impressive against Crowley last week. I think Geyer's physicality in the trenches will hold up against Southlake, and they'll, the key for Geyer is their quarterback's got to take care of the football. They've turned him more into a runner than a thrower. I think Southlake's going to come out and they're going to load the box and show some one-on-one coverage, and they're going to see if Geyer's quarterback, who's committed to Florida State, can he beat them. So we'll see how that goes in that game. The bottom half of the bracket, Vandergrift got knocked off Steele. That was a little bit of an upset.
Yeah,
so Austin,
wasn't it?
Yeah, Austin's. Steele had some bad special teams mistakes that set Vandergrift up with some unbelievable field position early. They kind of ran out to a big lead. Steele made a rally late, but they just dug themselves too big of a hole because of the special teams gas. Harlan is a surprise story getting here. I think Vandergrift rolls in this game.
It goes back to the whole thing where this bracket just opened up for Summer Creek beyond belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Would that worry you if it's so open up? Does it worry you if they go into DeSoto that they hadn't been tested enough, or whoever they might play?
A little bit. But I think Summer Creek. I think we're careening towards Summer Creek DeSoto Part 2, and I know people are going to go, "Oh man, that's going to." DeSoto beat him by 60 last year. I think it's going to be a lot closer this year.
And they're going to have to watch it, too, because it's a 3 o'clock game. They can't just wander off and say, all right, well, I've had enough high school football because you got the big show at 7.
So that's kind of where I see 6A D2 right now. I think we're still going for I would say Longview has a better chance to beat DeSoto than Kingwood has of Summer Creek, though.
Gotcha.
Just because style of play.
5A Division 1, and, man, I want to jump right down to it. We were talking about it a little bit beforehand. I didn't expect any Houston teams to be this far, and we got 2 of them, so we're going to have one to talk about next week as well.
I know, you're fired up about that.
I'm very fired up about that. LaPorte and Angleton, they met before. LaPorte got them by a touchdown, but usually you sit out here and say, well, you can get them one time playing the wing T, and they're not prepared for it. Well, now Angleton's got film, and they're prepared for it. I think this could be a quite different situation, but on the same hand, LaPorte's playing at a crazy level right now.
Yeah, so what LaPorte's done is they've moved Ricky Sandoff to kind of that slot wing position. They're throwing to him a lot. He had a touchdown catch last week against A&M Consolidated. So they're still getting Sandoff involved just as a pass catcher. And then they're using Tyrese Barnes and Sean Simon. You got a 2-headed monster back there. LaPorte's got 3 offensive playmakers that are real difference makers in Sandoff, Simon, and Barnes. So you can't really key on one guy in that offense. And the thing about Kevin Bernithi and the wing T offense that he runs is he's not afraid to throw it. Yeah. They will throw the ball. They'll put it in the air, and they'll make you pay if you start loading that box up. So love LaPorte's scheme. They get a lot of guys involved, and they run it so well. Angleton knows them well. This is gonna be a knockdown, drag out war. Angleton doesn't have a lot of big names, but what they do have is they just got a bunch of dogs.
Right.
They just got a bunch of kids who play hard and are super athletic.
Just Sean Sanders is one of them.
Yeah, the Duron kid at quarterback had a great game against College Station last week. That touchdown pass at the end of the game was clutch.
I know. I didn't expect. If you watch the replay of it, the DB in front of Jashawn,
he had pretty good coverage.
He did, but he wasn't looking at it. He had no clue where it was. It went right over his head, and it was like,
he didn't turn his head.
What?
So,
the game's over.
So I'm excited. Angleton used to run the wing T for a long time, so they know it. Their coaches know it, and so it's gonna be an interesting matchup here. It's gonna be a huge crowd. Both these fan bases travel really well. I'm excited for this 2:00 game. I'm sold on LaPorte. I'm taking LaPorte.
It's a feel-good story at Angleton too, because they got ravished by that hurricane that came through in July, and they've helped put that town back together. Now they're rolling with it. And you talk about LaPorte, their non-district schedule was just what you wanted it to be. Maybe no wins, but they played everybody and learned about themselves. They haven't lost since.
Well, when you look at their non-district schedule, they lose to Deer Park, rivalry game, 6A playoff team, close game. They lost to Kingwood, who look at Kingwood now, and they lost to P&G on the road in a close game.
All teams still playing pretty much.
Yeah, and they're 10-0 since then. So
that's exactly what you want in a non-district.
Yeah.
You don't want to play these patsies and learn nothing about your team. There's rematches at the top here. Denton Ryan and Alito. We got Lone Star playing Highland Park. And at the bottom half, the familiar name of Smithson Valley's down there against Flower Bluff. Let's start down there first. Your thoughts on that game, and is Smithson Valley got the team that can win a couple games here?
Well, Flower Bluff's the road warriors of the playoffs. They've gone on the road 3 straight weeks. They went to McAllen and beat McAllen Memorial. They went to San Antonio Piper at Piper's home stadium and beat them in round 2. The unbeaten Piper team who beat Smithson Valley.
Okay.
And then last week they played at the Alamo Dome, but they played at San Antonio School at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio Southwest. And again, another thriller. And they've won it. Flower Bluff the last 2 weeks has been living on the edge, but they've gotten it done. They got 3 really outstanding playmakers. Quarterback Jaden Policio, committed to UTRGV. Wide receiver Cameron Dixon is a receiver who's committed to Vanderbilt. So we're talking about an SEC level commit, big time talent. And they got another receiver, a slot named Andre Mims, who's a playmaker as well. So Flower Bluff offensively is dynamic. Defense is a little shaky, but offensively they can make up for it. Smithson Valley, we're talking bland uniforms, bland style of play, but brutally effective. They play tough defense. They run the ball. They play physical. They're not sexy. They're not high flying. They're just brutally efficient.
Just get W's.
They're a reflection of their coach. Their coach is no nonsense. Doesn't really, do a lot of media. He's just kind of gruff and just kind of just go about their business. So intriguing matchup here. I'm going to go with Smithson Valley because they have the playoff pedigree. They've made they played in a state championship game last year. They've been here, done that. I'll go with Smithson Valley, but Flower Bluff's a fun team to watch. So that's my pick in Region 4. So I think we're going to get LaPorte and Smithson Valley in the state semifinals, which is a lot of fun. That'll be
exactly.
Listen, you like old school football? LaPorte, Smithson Valley. Yeah, if you want a quick 2-hour game, LaPorte, Smithson Valley is going to be your jam if they play in the semifinals. Yeah,
interesting. Top half. Yeah, that rematch. For people in Houston, Ryan had them by 28-6 or 27-6, and then never scored again.
So there's a lot of layers there in the Denton Ryan Aledo game. So Aledo hasn't lost a district game in 17 years.
Right.
By the way, Ward, you know who the last team to beat Aledo was in district play?
I do not.
It's my Everett Bulldogs.
I should have known. God bless it.
You're
just like your boy Diggs in Plano East. I should have known better. What's wrong with me?
And so Denton Ryan had Aledo on the ropes. They were up. I believe
27-6.
27 to.
Ryan had Aledo, yeah.
Yes, 27-6 in the first half. After Ryan scored to make it 27-6, Aledo returned the ensuing kickoff for a touchdown and flipped the game.
Never looked back.
I think they scored 38 in a row, beat Ryan like 44-27.
Yeah.
Ryan had a lot going on that week. Their defensive coordinator, eventually, passed away a week later. So there was a lot kind of swirling around them, and I think they kind of had an emotional high and kind of had a letdown. If there's one team that can match up with Aledo's offense, it's Denton Ryan. Gavin Beard last week. So Aledo beat Amarillo Tascosa 62-7 last week.
Yeah, they didn't let their poor punter on the field.
No. Gavin Beard completed every pass he threw, 4 touchdowns. Now the other concern for Aledo is Racine Guillory had 1 carry and left the game. What's his status this week?
The Aledo people are telling me that he'll be back. He's just playing precautionary, but we'll see.
We'll see. So I think Denton Ryan though is good enough to contain Aledo. I'm gonna go another upset pick here. Aledo got him in the regular season. I think Ryan returns the favor. Ryan's good enough to beat Aledo. The key here for Ryan, they got 2 good running backs in Nemo Warmate and Trayvon Reynolds.
Yeah.
But Quinn Hennigan, the quarterback, he's going to have to make some throws to beat Aledo. If he makes some throws,
that's what I'm worried about. I've never seen him make a big throw. I mean, I've seen
question.
Braden Mussett make big throws, but they don't play him at quarterback.
Braden Mussett's the X factor. That dude is an unbelievable athlete. Ryan's got to get him the ball and find ways to get him. He's the guy to take the top off the defense.
What about this other game, man? And on paper it looks great, but the way Highland Park is playing. That's a tough out. Their defense is just incredible up there.
They are. They're playing.
They're playing on Frisco's home field here at the Star, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think.
No, Highland Park's got a guy, Buck Randall.
Yeah,
the first
he's a superhero like Flash Gordon.
The first sophomore quarterback at Highland Park since Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. That's true. They got that kind of deal where they bring everybody up for their senior year or junior year and let them play.
If you're a sophomore and you're playing at Highland Park, you are a dog.
You got talent.
And Buck Randall has got talent. I think Highland Park gets Lone Star. Davian Gross had a big game for Lone Star last week. Just don't think Lone Star. They also got a sophomore quarterback at their own in Carice Hoyt, who's really, really good. But I like.
They don't play defense. Yeah, Lone Star does not play the defense that you need.
That's the concern. I think we're going to get a Highland Park Denton Ryan semifinal, but most people will say Highland Park Aledo.
Yeah, and that's everybody in the state's probably going to be saying that too. They'll be like, "What's wrong with Diggs, man? We trust this man." And he's sitting there telling me Aledo's not going to go. They won 12 state titles.
It's an upset pick. Admittedly, it's an upset pick.
Sometimes you got to do that though. Sometimes you got to go out there and prove who you is.
You got to go out on a limb every once in a while. Yeah.
All right, Stepp, Division II. It's easy to talk about the Houston game right off the bat, and I will, but we're not going to talk about it right off the bat. We're going to talk about Sock P&G. It's the game the whole state's kind of been waiting for. If y'all sat back and watched the state final last year, the rematch that you want to see, tell us your thoughts on that one, because Sock has kind of gone through 8-5A Division II in the playoffs and not had much problem. Yeah. Is P&G going to give them a problem, including beating a team that I guess they didn't play Needland, but still.
Yeah, Texas Hobby, yeah. We almost had this game in the Houston area, Ward. This game this game was this close to being at Prairie View, which is considered the Houston. I think Prairie View is considered Houston
close
area
enough
still. But Prairie View couldn't get it together, so they're over at Nacogdoches at SFA. The matchup to watch here, the money matchup, the Sock defensive line against the P&G offensive line. That is Clash of the Titans warfare stuff. Those two best units going to go head to head. P&G against Texas High just went into single wing offense. They brought their 6'3", 225-pound linebacker in at quarterback and just ran direct snaps to him behind that massive offensive line, and we're just getting 4 yards a pop. Jackson, if you're looking for a guy to watch on P&G's offensive line, it's Jackson Christian. He's a Texas A&M commit. He's a stud. When P&G does throw it, London Nunnally, their receiver's great, and they got a good running back, Tyson Henry, to keep an eye on. South Oak Cliff's defensive line, that was their best unit. The Morgan kid who's committed to Baylor is a stud. But they go 8 deep. They rotate him in. There's no drop off. They are outstanding on the defensive line. That's your money matchup to watch. The difference here is this year and last year. I don't think P&G's defense is quite as good as it was last year, and I think Sock's offense has an edge. Mikael Trotter, Levon Morton at running back, Carter Kopecky at quarterback, Reggie McNeil Jr. at receiver. Sock's got a lot of playmakers. He did. Sock's got a lot of playmakers, and I think that's the big edge that South Oak Cliff has. So I think South Oak Cliff's defense will hold up against P&G. I don't know if P&G can get stops. I think South Oak Cliff gets their revenge and knocks off P&G here.
And then the game that we had, and by the way, I was set to spell Marshall right this week. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
No.
I have it spelled right on this sheet of paper if anybody wants me to show it to you. I do know how to spell Marshall, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's Randall against Colony, Iowa Colony. Obviously, we're going to talk about some of the players that we've talked about before, but the ones I want to bring up is Chase Sims for the Randall's defense and Christopher Johnson on Iowa Colony. They both made big plays in their wins. They're just monster edge rushers that can get to the quarterback. The key for Iowa Colony is can Johnson maybe not worry about the quarterback as much as worried about getting their arms around that little running back and landing in, what do you call him, LWC now? So we don't say always.
Landon Williams-Callis, yeah. He's so this was my first time seeing him in person.
That's right. You were at that game.
Last Saturday, and man, that 73-yard touchdown catch that he had was...
Because he had a little cutback, too, at the 10.
Oh, a little cut. He goes from 0 to 60 so fast. He's so quick. I mean, his top speed acceleration and change of direction is elite. It's easy to see why he's one of the top running backs in the country and also a Mr. Texas football finalist as a sophomore. The key here is I love Randall's defense, and it's not just Chase Sims. They have not allowed more than 14 points in a game all year. They've got a D tackle named LaJalen Miller, who's doesn't have the D1 prototype size, but all he does is mess stuff up for the offense. He is number 12 for Richmond Randall. He stood out to me. He had a great game against Brenham. He is disruptive and a playmaker. Iowa Colony, sophomore quarterback Carson White looks wise beyond his years at this point. He's got a bunch of weapons. Jaden Warren, the junior wide receiver, had a touchdown catch and a kickoff return for a touchdown for Iowa Colony. The one concern I have, Coach Brian Randall says Richmond Randall doesn't play good on Saturdays most of the time. This game is Saturday night. Maybe a later start will help them. But they turned the ball over 3 or 4 times and still beat Iowa Colony by 3 touchdowns. I think Randall... I think we're looking at a Randall South Oak Cliff State Championship most likely.
It does look like it, and that'd be fun for people that are saying that we
be a lot of fun.
Same teams all the time. If we get Richmond Randall in there, something different. Either way, it's going to be something different from the bottom 4 here. Your thoughts on Miller against Bernie?
Very impressive, Corpus Christi Miller. The way they handled Alamo Heights kind of fell off in the second half. Alamo Heights is pretty good. Miller knocked them off 30. Miller was up 35-0 in the third quarter. Alamo Heights kind of made a little run late, but Bernie's a little bit different challenge. They're big and physical. I just don't think Bernie can keep up with Miller in space. I think Miller's got a really good quarterback, Trevor Long, wide receiver Corey Holmes, running back Broderick Miller. I think Corpus Christi Miller has a little bit too much, and they're going to get to the state semifinals against Randall. Top of the bracket to play South Oak Cliff, I like Argyle.
I like Argyle too.
I think Todd Rogers in the Battle of Todds. Got a lot of Todds at the top of the bracket here with Todd Rogers, Todd Dodge, and Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. There's too many Todds.
Yeah, so I think Argyle, their ability up front, Lovejoy's offense real explosive, but Argyle in the trenches too much. I think we're going to get a rematch of the 2022 state semifinals.
Fog Bowl.
South Oak Cliff and Argyle.
That was a Fog Bowl that time they played before.
Fog Bowl at Crowley.
Exactly. Yeah, Lovejoy, their quarterback, Janicek, is great, but he turns the ball over too much, and you cannot turn it over against Argyle because they'll run the clock out on you real quick. You're not going to get as many possessions as you did against Anna in that game last week. All right, let's move on to 4A, and we're going to talk 4A Division 1. We got one left, but it ain't in Region 3. What's going on here? We didn't expect. Well, we expected it, but we expected at least a Region 3 showing. We got Region 4. Bay City's going up to Bastrop to take on Lavernia. Boy, they're smoking right now. Them Black Cats are smoking.
Yeah, great win for them over Cal Allen. Hard-fought win over Cal Allen, but a great win. This is a district rematch, if memory serves correctly. I believe Bay City took down Lavernia in district play. So, I think the Black Cats, their speed and athleticism and quarterback Alex Estrada is just a guy. He's just a dude. He makes plays, and I feel like they've got the edge on Lavernia here. Lavernia, great offensive line, big upset over LBJ in the second round of the playoffs, but they've got a little bit of a Bay City won the regular season meeting 40-21. It will be closer, but 19 points is a lot to make up. I think Bay City wins by 7 to 10 points. Just think they're Zylan Williams, a wide receiver. I think the Bay City's got a little bit too much talent. Lavernia just not explosive enough. Lavernia's best hope is to play keep away. Just hold on to the football and keep Bay City's offense off the field.
And Lavernia's a third-place team. I don't think we should only allow 2 teams in there in the play. All right, let me get off that soapbox. I did that last week. We got the East Texas battle up here, Kilgore and Chapel Hill. Your thoughts on that one, and maybe kind of look ahead. Which would be a better matchup for Bay City if they won?
Speaking of third-place teams, Chapel Hill's a third-place
what's
team
going on?
as well.
They should have never even made it.
Kilgore won the regular season meeting 42-7, but Chapel Hill was without Demetrius Brisbane, their Baylor commit. He's back, helps their offense quite a bit. Kilgore has the best secondary in Class 4A, in my opinion, led by the Michigan commit Jaden Sanders. Sanders also played offense last week, caught 2 touchdown passes. Chapel Hill has 2 frontline dudes in Brisbane and Ricky Stewart, the running back who's committed to Texas. But they don't have – I just think that their supporting cast is not what Kilgore's is. And Kilgore's got a lot to play for. Chapel Hill has eliminated Kilgore from the playoffs 3 straight years. Kilgore's – and 2 of the 3 years were in absolute just crushing fashion. I think Kilgore – this is their year. I think Kilgore's a team beat. I think Chapel Hill's a better matchup for Bay City, but I think Kilgore –
My man Stepp is on the revenge tour. Every bracket we go to, I think this is their chance.
It's the revenge narrative this. Yeah, it's the revenge narrative this week.
To finally get it. By the way, shout out! You mentioned the kid from Chapel Hill going to Baylor. Shout out to Dave Aranda. Not only did he turn that season around for Baylor and have them go 8-4, but I think, and granted, Texas is now SEC team, so they're recruiting all over the place. But Baylor really attacked this state for this class like nobody's business. There's so many guys in the Houston, DFW area, and now you're talking about the Chapel Hill kid that they gobbled up to go to Baylor. They've got themselves some – that might be a team to cheer for if you just like Texas players because they got a ton of them going there.
They've been out and about for sure. Top of the bracket? Yeah, let's go West Plains and Stephenville.
Yeah.
West Plains, nice win over Lampasas last week. Stephenville, dominant win over Canyon Randall, who is West Plains district bunkmate. West Plains is going to give Stephenville a better game, but I think Stephenville too balanced on offense with Tristan Gentry, the Texas Tech commit, running back Sawyer Wilkerson, Gafford at quarterback. Stephenville's got a little bit too much. I think the Yellow Jackets get to the semifinals. This regional final in Region 2 is going to be fun. 2 13-0 teams. Salina, we knew would be there, number 1 in the state. But Alvarado, maybe the quietest number 3 team in the state of Texas out there. They've got a quarterback, Cartier Collier. He, Mr. Texas football finalist as well. I think he's over 70 touchdowns combined, rushing and passing. He's unreal. He's going to be the best. He's so much fun to watch. If you've never watched him play, they played at Mesquite Memorial last week, and Steven Jackson, the West Mesquite head coach, texted me because he was there watching the game at his home field and said, "Man, this Alvarado quarterback is the best player I've seen all year. He's unbelievable. He's the X factor, and he can keep Alvarado in it. But I think Salina's just got too much. Now, their defense got touched up last week. They gave up 577 yards, but they scored 63 points. So I don't know if Alvarado can stop Salina. I think Salina will get a stop or two and win by 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, we're in December now, so December's where you
got to have some defense.
Defense, and you got to have a ground attack, and Salina certainly has the ground attack part.
Oh yeah,
I'll actually
that big
be at
offensive line. Yeah, big
I'll,
offensive line. Logan Gutierrez and Harrison Williams at running back.
I'll actually be at that game. We've had Alvarado on a couple times up here in DFW.
They're fun to watch. They're entertaining.
Yeah, they are.
They're entertaining. You'll get your entertainment value.
You've seen them too. You saw them against Godley, I know, week 1.
Saw them in the season opener, and I've watched the last 2 games online.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Division II. We got our Sealy Tigers still in there. Eric Dickerson, my man, are you going to be at this game? Text me. Well, you don't have my number. Never mind. Waco La Vega, that game's up at the field, up in Pflugerville.
Yeah.
Tell me what you feel about that game.
I think if Sealy's going to win, Kane Killo is going to have to put the cape on again. He's going to have to put Sealy. He's been doing it. He's been, I think he's got like 25 touchdowns. He's got like over 20 touchdowns in 3 playoff games. Unbelievable. He had a great year. Sealy's on a great run. I think it ends this week. The La Vega, too strong. Bryson Rowland. And their defense is really, really good, and they're really physical. They make a living off of containing explosive offenses, and I don't know if Sealy has the defense to stop La Vega. So, bad matchup for Sealy. I like La Vega in this one. Unfortunately for the Houston area. We
talked a lot about this year about how Bay City kind of benefited from their UIL realignment. I think the same can be said about La Vega. They didn't have to go through teams that they have in the past. Yeah, they dropped down and then they got put. The drop down method is what I was meant to say. It puts them in a place where they don't play the kind of Argyles of the world and the China Springs that they had to play. But instead,
they were playing. China. Well, they have China Springs still. China Spring missed the playoffs this year. Crazy. Oh, wow. But they didn't have to go through Stephenville, Brownwood, people like that. Like they've had to play Alvarado. They've been in the district with Alvarado. Stephenville, Brownwood, and Alvarado were in their district. So
right.
Stephenville and Alvarado, we see what they're doing. So they've definitely benefited from dropping down. They benefited from some of the upsets in Region 3. Teams like Belleville, Hampshire Finette losing early in the playoffs. Madisonville has kind of opened the bracket up, and I think opened it up for La Vega.
What about Wimberley and Sinton down there at the bottom? The name that sticks out is obviously Wimberley, but maybe Sinton can pull this thing off. What do you think?
I think if somebody other than it's a pick'em game. I think Wimberley's got Cody Stover, and Wimberley has the pedigree. They've won Region 4, I think 5 of the last 7 years. They've been the team of record. If Wimberley hasn't won, and it's been Cuero. Well, Wimberley beat Cuero last week 69-21. So now Sinton beat Cuero as well, but it was much closer. So I think Sinton's going to give him a good game, but Cody Stover and Doug Warren's one of the most underrated head coaches in Texas. I like Wimberley and Coach Warren there to get out and play La Vega. Probably, I guess that game will probably be somewhere in the Austin area if they played him, because Wimberley's kind of down by San Marcos, and then La Vega's in North Waco. So I could see that game being, in the Austin area.
They may play it at Schlitterbahn, so everybody can get there.
Maybe go to the field or Georgetown or something.
Top of the bracket's a rematch up top where Graham actually destroyed Brock the first time. Hopefully they'll learn something on the tape and get that thing straightened out with Brock. But what do you think?
Well, Graham got pushed last week. I thought Glen Rose would give Graham a game, and they did, but Graham pulled it out. I don't think it's going to be 38-0. Graham beat Brock 38-0. I think it'll be much closer, but Graham's defense is the difference maker this year. I like Graham in that one. And in East Texas, Carthage and Van is actually a rematch from district play the last 2 years. They were in the same district. Carthage won both games comfortably. I expect them to win this game comfortably as well. Van, nice story.
Does this look like Carthage is looking all the way through? Does it look like their run back to the?
I think Carthage is the favorite to win the state championship. Yeah.
I can't ever say Carthage without thinking of a podcast that you're on Wednesdays where one of the dudes on there always calls him cartilage. And they let him say it, and then they joke him the whole time.
Yeah, let him say it, and then laugh.
Yeah, when are they playing patella tendon? What are you talking about cartilage? What's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Carthage could be state championship number 10 for Scott Surratt.
Whew. All right.
One thing about Scott Surratt, he has here's you may have heard this stat before. Scott Surratt's been the head coach at Carthage 17 seasons. Okay. He has 9 state championships and 8 playoff losses. He's got more state championships than playoff losses.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. Golly, and he can jump up on that, be up 2 if he can go on and win the state.
There you go. Yeah, because you can only lose 1 playoff game a year. So.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. All right, we got 2 in this bracket here. We got Columbus and Franklin, which took a month to figure out where they're playing, and then Old Aunt Edna's still playing.
Yeah, Columbus and Franklin, a fantastic matchup here. Franklin's been to 4 straight state champions. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! And I think Columbus has the personnel to do it. I'm
riding with them.
One of my favorite players in Texas, Grayson Rigdon, Braylon Fisher, they're loaded offensively. Defense can be up and down, and they're going to be tested against this Franklin rushing offense. I mean, Jaden Jackson is a 6'2", 235-pound bowling ball. But actually not a bowling ball, he's a wrecking ball because he's tall. He's a huge kid, and he's tough. And Franklin handled Hitchcock last week. Hitchcock had been on a roll even without Chubby Jones. Franklin handled them pretty easily last week, so Columbus is going to have their hands full here. I'm sticking with the champs here. I'm going with Franklin to knock off Columbus. But I think it's a 50-50 type game, toss-up game. But
good, then I'll pick Columbus so that one of us has Columbus and one of us has Franklin.
Edna and Llano are a rematch of a regional final from 2022, I believe. I was there. Edna rolled Llano that day, and Llano alum Ashley Pickle, my coworker, banned me. By the way, she says hi, Wade.
Wade.
She banned me from Llano games in the future, so I'm not going to be at this game. But I still think Edna rolls here. I think Coach Mitchell and Edna. This might be the best team Edna's ever had.
Yeah, you think it's state title good?
No,
because you got Franklin or Columbus.
Franklin's dominated in the last 2 years. They've closed the gap, but I don't know if they closed it that much. But they'll handle Llano this week.
I put you out on a limb. I'm not going to push you off the thing. I'll let you stay with that. Wade approved. If Ashley's watching this, yes. Top half. What do you think here in the top half? You got Malakoff and East Texas team taking on Liberty Ilo.
I'll be at this game Friday night.
Where you will? Okay.
In Tyler, yeah. Love this matchup here. Liberty Ilo is weird. They beat Winsboro last week 56-49. They scored all 56 points in the first half. It was 56-21 at halftime, and then I don't know what happened in the second half. Winsboro almost came back on them.
Really?
Yeah, it's a crazy game. So that Liberty Ilo's got a wide receiver, Jaquane Prevost, committed to Arkansas, stud player. Malakoff, they've got the state's longest winning streak at 29 games, defending state champions. They've got that guy at quarterback. Yes, his name is Mike Jones.
Who?
So let's get all the jokes. 281-330-8004. You can have all the Mike Jones jokes we want. Mike Jones, if you're listening, Mike Jones.
He does listen. Jones. He does listen all the time.
You should come to the state championship games if Malakoff is playing. And
take absolutely.
With Malakoff quarterback Mike Jones.
You can bring Paul Wall with you as well.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Jason Tennyson, Jerry and Hall, the 2 running backs. And they've got a linebacker, Parker Poteet, who's been great for Malakoff. I think the Tigers have the defense to contain that high-powered Liberty Ilo offense and extend their state-leading winning streak to 30 games. Top of the bracket, Shallow Water and Paradise. Shallow Water's out by Lubbock. Paradise is northwest of Fort Worth, so it's kind of geographic thing for the Houston folks. Paradise won 10-7 last week over Jim Ned. I think Shallow Water is the team to beat in Region 1, so I picked them in the before the playoffs started, so I'm going to stick with Shallow Water to take down Paradise.
Excellent. All right, let's go to Division 2. We got Tidehaven still going, and they're playing Lexington up at Prison Stadium in Cypress.
Yeah, Friday night local game for the Houston folks. Go over to Prison Stadium and watch that game. Should be a good game.
One of the few Houston teams that's not afraid to play in the potential rain and go scattering off all over the place. Way to go, Tidehaven. Way to stick with it. Yeah, what do you think about this game?
That's be tough for Tidehaven. Lexington's playing very good football right now. They got quarterback Case Evans, great player. They beat Poth. Poth 2 weeks ago beat East Bernard in a close game. Lexington beat Poth 50-27 last week.
And then Tidehaven had played East Bernard in a close game as well.
Yeah,
so.
Kale Russell. Tidehaven quarterback Kale Russell's outstanding, but I think Lexington's got a little bit too much.
Well, maybe they're hoping for the rain to muck things up a little bit.
So I'm taking Lexington here, and then if you're ever in Lexington, Texas on a Saturday morning, go to Snow's Barbecue. Trust me.
Okay. You got to trust him. That's a foodie for you right there.
That's right.
All right, go through the rest of this bracket for me.
We'll start at the top. Canadian and Wall. Canadian has had Region 1's number. And I think they've won the regional title 8 of the last 9 years. I think it ends. Give me the Wall Hawks to knock off Canadian.
Here's another one. My man Stepp, he's ready to. A revenge tour keeps going into 3A.
Got Wall. Wall's lost to Canadian 2 straight years in the regional final. I think Wall gets him this time. The geography folks here, Canadians up near Amarillo. Wall is by San Angelo. Gunner and Holiday. Most of y'all know where Gunner is, north of Dallas. Holiday's near Wichita Falls. Holiday's lost to Gunner in the playoffs, I believe, 4 times since 2018. Every year, the game's gotten a little bit closer. Okay. The first time they played, Gunner won 48-7. The last time they played in 2022, it was 27-9. So Holiday's made it a little bit closer every year. This is the best team Holiday's had, in my opinion, because they're a little more dynamic offensively. That's been the problem when Holiday plays Gunner. They can stop Gunner or slow Gunner down a little bit. They just can't score them. They lost, I think, 27-9 and 28-7 the last 2 meetings. They just can't score on them. Holiday, they got a quarterback, Hunter Jones. He's thrown 50 touchdown passes this year. Holiday can do it on offense. I'm going with Gunner, but I think this has got a chance to be close.
I also see how far this revenge tour is going to go.
Holiday's got a good team, so keep an eye on Holiday. Really intrigued by this matchup between Woodville and Dangerfield. Woodville's been playing football, Dangerfield, Northeast Texas, kind of near Texarkana. Woodville's just south of Lufkin, not too far from Houston, actually. Just kind of south of Lufkin there. Woodville's been playing football 100 years. Never even been to the 3rd round of the playoffs. So this is their first time in the 4th round of the playoffs playing Dangerfield, who is a traditional power out of East Texas. Dangerfield destroyed Newton last week. They went to Louisiana and played in Natchitoches, and just Chase Johnson just went off for Dangerfield.
Just left
Woodville lost to Newton in district play. They're playing better. But I'm going to go with the pedigree here. And Dangerfield, even though they're 8-5, they're the favorite in this game. So give me Dangerfield.
They beat Newton so bad they all stayed in Louisiana, so I can't come back to my hometown. All right, 2A Division 1. We'll go through 2A real quick, and then we have Ganado still playing.
Yeah,
Ganado. How do we pronounce it?
Ganado,
and they're probably we call them, we claim them.
Okay,
it's late in the playoffs, so we can't claim them.
Go Ganado.
They're probably, you're the small school expert here, but I feel like that's the team to beat there. They absolutely destroyed Tidehaven earlier this year when we did have it on the air. They beat them 40-8 or something.
And they beat Refugio last week in the second year in a row. They beat Refugio in the playoffs. Marlin's a tough matchup. Marlin's right there kind of southeast of Waco. A lot of great athletes, a lot of team speed. But Ganado's got the pedigree. Bryce Altman at quarterback. Give me Ganado to take on. I like Honeygrove in the other semifinal, or the other regional final, Region 3, a game I'll be at Thursday night in Frisco. Honeygrove takes on Joaquin. Honeygrove's got a quarterback, Rylan Morris, committed to Baylor. Absolute stud. Give me Honeygrove. There you go, Baylor again, right? In Region 2, I like Hamilton. Unbeaten Hamilton over Axtell. 2 teams that really we didn't know. Hamilton's west of Waco, Axtell's east of Waco, so they're meeting kind of in the middle of Belton. I like Hamilton in this game, undefeated. Should be a close game, a pick'em type, coin flip type ball game. Top of the bracket, 13-0 Post, just south of Lubbock, taking on Stanford at 13-0, just north of Abilene. Stanford's my number 1 team in 2A Division 1. They've been absolutely destroying people. Give me Stanford.
Okay, interesting. Well, give me Ganado all the way through because
I think we're going to get Ganado and Stanford in the state championship game.
Excellent. All right, let's move to Division 2. We're not going to talk about the 6-man stuff, but another
6-man, yeah.
We got Collinsville and Munster, which is another. I always call it Munster. I always call it Munster because I think of Munster cheese. Collinsville, although it's called Munster cheese, I don't know what the heck's wrong with me. Anyway, that's a rematch as well. Munster's on a roll here. I kind of feel like they're the favorite in 2A Division 2.
Agreed.
I was telling the other guy this. I like Ropes only because that's what I begged and pleaded with my wife to have as the middle name for one of my kids. And she said I was completely out of my mind. And I was like, I just like the sound of Ropes, and we'll hide it as a middle name. And she's like, no. I was like, all right, forget it. Whatever nonsense names you want to name them, let's do it. But go ahead. Tell me about these games.
I like Groover at the top, the Greyhounds over Ropes. And then I like Munster over Collinsville. In a district rematch here, Munster over Collinsville. Grapeland and Bremond is a game I'm really fascinated by. Another rematch of a non-district game. These two played in non-district. Grapeland won a close one. I think it flips this time. Give me Bremond to knock off Grapeland. And then I like Shiner over Junction. I think we're careening towards a Shiner and Munster state championship game in 2A Division II, which will be a lot of fun.
That would be fun, too.
Yep.
All right, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. We're getting to that end of the road here. Where are you at this week? Oh, you talked about Thursday. You talked about Friday. Where are you going to be Saturday?
Saturday, I'll be back in H-Town.
I knew it. I knew it. Doubled header. I knew he'd be there, folks.
Yes. LaPorte and Angleton at 2. And Randall and Iowa Colony at 6. So I've got to put my media credentials in tonight and find a hotel. And yeah, it's going to be all good down at H-Town.
I already jumped the gun on you with the media credentials. We're already set there. So you can't get in. Just ask my man Lake to get you in there.
Right,
hold his tripod or something.
Yeah. I'll do that.
They're going to keep Stepp out of the daggone playoffs.
Hey, you got to ask. Never,
has that ever happened?
Assume.
Has that ever happened to you? Have you been kept out of a game?
It almost happened during the COVID year.
Okay.
But they let me on the sidelines. So
they
were worried about out of town media. They worried about someone coming from out of town and I guess bringing a different strain of COVID. Sure. I don't know. But I get it. That was a weird year, and everybody was just being, taking it safe, and I get it. I wasn't, they let me have a sideline pass. So.
Hey, the way you've been sneezing on this podcast, you may have COVID again. I don't know. I don't know what you got.
I've had it like 4 times. So.
Do I need to mask up? Even though we're doing this on, I should mask up. I can't be around you.
Yeah, I'm good. This is a little allergies. I'm good.
All right, you're fine. All right, brother. Next week we're going to talk about the Final Four in each one of these. It's going to be fun. We're a couple weeks away, so I appreciate it, Stepp, and we'll talk to you next week.